I'm checking in a guest at our boutique hotel in Krakow when an American woman in her 50s slaps her passport on the counter. "I need a room with a view of the Eiffel Tower," she says, dead serious. I blink twice. "Ma'am, that's in Paris. We're in Poland." She pulls out her phone, scrolls through her booking confirmation, then looks up at me like I'm the confused one. "But I'm in Europe, right?" The silence stretches between us. Another guest in line coughs. Outside, trams rattle past on the cobblestone street. The woman's husband appears with their luggage, takes one look at the Gothic architecture through our lobby windows, and mutters something about their travel agent. I slide her room key across the desk anyway. They'll figure it out eventually. Most of them do. Working in tourism across 3 continents taught me something wild. Americans genuinely believe the world runs on American logic. That's the kind of insight I unpack here every week. Not opinions, but lived cross-cultural reality. If you're the type who values decoding how the world actually works, you'll want to stay close. Not in a mean way, just in this absolutely unshakable confidence that their way is the default setting. I watched a guy in Munich try to pay his restaurant bill with Venmo. In Sydney, a college student asked where the nearest Walmart was, then got annoyed when I said Australia doesn't have Walmart. "But where do people shop for groceries?" she asked, genuinely baffled. The best part? That moment when reality crashes into their expectations. Sometimes it's instant. Sometimes it takes 3 days and a minor international incident. But that was just the beginning. The Krakow hotel incident wasn't even my first geography disaster that month. 2 weeks earlier, I'm giving a walking tour in Prague when a retirement-age couple from Texas joins late. The man interrupts me mid-sentence about Charles Bridge. "Excuse me, what language do they speak in Prague?" I pause. "Czech." His wife nods knowingly. Right. And is that close to Australian?" I stand there on the bridge, tourists flowing around us, trying to figure out if she means Austria. "Do you mean Austrian German?" She shakes her head. "No, like from Australia. The continent." Her husband jumps in to help. "She's asking if Czech is related to Australian English, because of the British influence." I realize they think the Czech Republic and Australia are somehow connected. Maybe neighbors. I gently explain that Australia is an island continent about 15,000 kilometers away, in a completely different hemisphere. They look skeptical, but don't push it. Here's the thing about American geography confidence. It's rock solid until it meets actual geography. My cousin works at a car rental desk in Reykjavik. An American family wanted to drive to see the Northern Lights in Norway, then loop back through Finland for dinner. "That's like a 30-hour drive across ocean borders," my cousin explained. The dad pulled out his phone, showed her Google Maps, where Nordic countries looked tiny. "But it's right there," he insisted, pinching the screen. Distance perception breaks down when your mental model is Texas-sized. I switched to working at a museum in Amsterdam after the tour guide gig. Americans would ask me, at least twice a week, how far away Germany was. "About 60 kilometers to the border," I'd say. They'd get excited, plan a lunch trip to Berlin. I'd have to explain that Berlin is 650 kilometers away, about 6 hours by train. "But Germany's right there," they'd protest, gesturing vaguely eastward. In their minds, European countries work like American states. You can pop between them for lunch. The highway signs list cities from 6 countries, which somehow makes Americans think those cities are equally close. My favorite was the woman in our museum gift shop who asked if we had any maps showing Europe's place in America. I thought I misheard. "America's place in Europe?" I offered. She shook her head firmly. "No, I want to see how Europe fits inside America geographically." She believed Europe was a region within the United States, like New England, just older and fancier. Her teenage daughter stood beside her, earbuds in, looking at paintings on her phone, completely used to this. When I explained that Europe is a separate continent, the mom got defensive. "Then why do people always talk about European Americans?" I didn't have the energy to explain ethnic heritage versus geography that day. The absolute peak was a businessman in Copenhagen. I'm behind the counter at a 7-Eleven near the airport, and he's buying coffee at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday. He asks me, in that confident American way, what time zone we're in. Central European time, I tell him. He nods, doing math in his head. So that's like, what, 2 hours behind New York? I correct him gently. 6 hours ahead, actually. His whole face changes. Ahead? How can Europe be ahead of America? He's not joking. He genuinely believes time zones flow west to east, with America first. When I mention the international date line and how time zones work, he just shakes his head, pays for his coffee, and leaves. Some realities are too much before caffeine. I moved to a pharmacy in Wellington, New Zealand, thinking I'd escape the chaos. Wrong. A study abroad student comes in, maybe 20 years old, asking for Tylenol. We have paracetamol, I say, pointing to the shelf. Same thing, different name. She squints at the box. It says 500 milligrams. How many ounces is that? I pause, because how do you convert a weight measurement to a volume measurement? Milligrams are weight, not volume, but 500 milliliters is a standard dose. She's not satisfied. But I need to know how many ounces I'm taking. 10 minutes of explanation later, she buys it. Still confused, still convinced we're hiding the real measurement from her. My coworker, who's from Argentina originally, has his own collection of metric disasters. A few months back, an American tourist asked for cold medicine. Take 2 tablets every 4 hours, he instructed. The guy stared at the box, then asked, "What's my dosage in feet?" My coworker thought it was a language barrier issue. Sorry, what? The tourist pointed at the dosage instructions. You guys use metric. I need to know the feet conversion. He thought metric system applied to time somehow. Got genuinely frustrated when we couldn't convert 4 hours into American hours. And this is exactly why I document these stories. Because they reveal the hidden psychology of how cultures think, not just how they act. Most channels skim moments like this. I break them down. The worst part is when they try to be helpful. I'm stocking shelves one afternoon when a military guy, visiting family in Wellington, approaches me. He's measured and careful with his words. I need to explain something for future customers, he starts. You should list medicine in American measurements too. It's dangerous having just metric. I appreciate the concern, so I engage. What specifically worries you? He explains that Americans don't understand grams and milligrams, so they might overdose. I point out that American medicine also uses milligrams, has for decades. He pauses, thinks about his medicine cabinet back home, and slowly realizes he's been reading metric his whole life without noticing. Oh, he says quietly, and walks away. Temperature is somehow worse. A digital nomad couple, living in Wellington for 3 months, comes in panicking. Their baby has a fever. The thermometer says 38, the mom says, voice shaking. Is that bad? I reassure her that 38 Celsius is about 100 Fahrenheit, a mild fever, manageable. She looks at her husband. See, I told you we were overreacting. Then he asks, but what if it goes up to 100? Should we go to the hospital? I realize they think Celsius goes higher than Fahrenheit, that 100 Celsius is somehow survivable. I spend 15 minutes explaining water boiling points, body temperature scales, and why their baby won't reach anywhere near 100 Celsius without much bigger problems than a thermometer reading. They leave skeptical, clearly planning to Google this themselves. After New Zealand, I took a job at a car rental desk in Barcelona. This is where American assumptions about time meet European reality head-on. First day, an American family arrives to pick up their reservation. We're here for the car, the dad announces. I check the system. Your reservation is for tomorrow, sir. He shows me his phone. It says August 8th. Today's August 8th. I look at his screen. He's written 8823, which in Spain means the 8th of August. But he made the reservation on an American website that read it as August 8th. We're on the 7th of August. The whole family stands there while I explain how European dates work. Day, month, year, not month, day, year. That's backwards, the teenage son mutters. I get this exact situation about twice a week. Americans book cars, hotels, tours, always one day off, sometimes 1 month off. One couple showed up for a car they'd booked for 6/7/23, thinking July 6th. It was June 7th in European format. They'd missed their actual rental by a month. The system had automatically canceled. The wife nearly cried. Their whole Spanish vacation was timed around that car. We sorted it eventually, but they spent 200 extra euros on last-minute rental rates. Why don't you people use normal dates? The husband asked me, like Spain should adjust its century-old system for American tourists. Clock time is its own disaster. I'm having lunch at a cafe near the rental desk when I overhear an American woman, maybe late 30s, asking the waiter about dinner reservations. We'd like to eat at 6 p.m., she says. The waiter, polite but confused, suggests 9 p.m. instead. That's too late, she insists. We eat dinner at 6. He tries to explain that Spanish restaurants don't even open for dinner until 8:30 or 9 p.m., that eating at 6 is, well, not dinner. She's adamant. Eventually, he suggests a tourist-focused place that serves early. She leaves satisfied, probably thinking she won some victory against Spanish stubbornness. I see this culture clash daily. Americans expect lunch at noon sharp. Spanish lunch is 2 to 4 p.m. Americans want dinner at 6. Spaniards eat at 10 p.m. The compromise. Restaurants near tourist areas make a fortune-serving dinner at 7 p.m. to confused Americans who think locals are crazy. My roommate, who works at one of these places, says Americans get genuinely angry about late meal times. Don't these people have jobs? When do they sleep? One tourist demanded. The concept that Spanish work schedules flex around long lunches and late dinners just doesn't compute. Punctuality is messier. Northern European transplants working in Spain warned me about this. An American businessman comes in for a 10 a.m. car pickup. I'm with another customer when he arrives at 9:58 a.m., exactly 2 minutes early. He stands by the counter, checking his watch, getting visibly agitated. At 10:03 a.m., I finish with the previous customer and greet him. I had a 10 a.m. appointment, he says coldly. You're 3 minutes late. I apologize, explain I was helping someone else. He launches into a speech about professionalism and respecting people's time. My Spanish coworker watches this, amused. In Spain, 10 a.m. means sometime between 10 and 10:15. Everyone knows this. It's not rude, just cultural rhythm. But this American is operating on U.S. corporate time, where 3 minutes feels like an insult. The flip side happened a week later. An American couple, honeymooners in their late 20s, booked a 2 p.m. car pickup. They show up at 2:47 p.m., relaxed and happy. Sorry we're late, they say, not sounding sorry at all. We got caught up at lunch. I'm relieved they're adapting to Spanish time. Then they ask, so we still get the full-day rental, right? Until tomorrow at 2 p.m.? I have to explain that the rental period started at 2 p.m., whether they showed up or not. They're shocked. But we weren't using the car, the groom protests. They want their 47 minutes back, adjusted to tomorrow's drop-off. Can't do it. The computer system runs on actual time, not perceived time. They leave grumbling about how nothing in Spain makes sense. Public transit time broke an American exchange student completely. I'm not working, just riding the metro, when I see her arguing with a ticket inspector. She's holding her phone up, showing him the metro schedule. The train was supposed to come at 3:17 p.m., she's saying, voice rising. It came at 3:22 p.m. That's false advertising. The inspector, patient but tired, explains that metro times are estimates, that traffic and passenger loads affect timing. She won't accept it. In America, If a schedule says 3:17, the train comes at 3:17. The inspector shrugs, asks if she has a valid ticket. She does, so he moves on. She stands there, fuming, betrayed by the concept of approximate scheduling. My wildest Barcelona moment was an American retiree trying to drive stick shift for the first time. He'd rented a manual transmission car, thinking manual meant he could drive it manually versus some automatic European system. When I brought out the car, a little seat with a gear shifter, he stared. "Where's the automatic mode?" There wasn't one. "But I reserved an automatic," he insisted. I checked his reservation. He'd selected manual transmission because it was cheaper, assuming manual meant he'd drive it himself versus hiring a driver. The word transmission didn't register. I spent 20 minutes teaching him the basics of clutch and gear shifting in our parking lot. He stalled 4 times, pulling out. I watched him lurch down the street, praying for Barcelona's other drivers. He returned the car 3 days later, ordered an automatic, and never mentioned the word manual again. The story I think about most happened back in Prague, my last week as a tour guide. American father and son, both quiet types, join my Old Town tour. The son's maybe 17, not thrilled to be there. They listen politely as I talk about Prague's history, its position at the heart of Europe, its survival through empires and wars. At the end, the dad approaches me. "I have to apologize," he starts. I brace myself. My son and we both thought Prague was in Russia. We didn't know the Czech Republic was its own country. Hell, I didn't know it existed until we booked this trip. He's not making excuses, just being honest. "American schools don't teach European geography well," he continues. "We learn the big stuff, France, Germany, England. But Eastern Europe? Just former Soviet countries." I appreciate his honesty. Most Americans double down when they're wrong. He and his son actually learned something. They spent the rest of their trip asking questions, buying maps, trying to understand how European countries relate to each other. That's the thing. Americans aren't stupid. They're just operating on a school system that taught them America is the center of the world, that other countries are minor characters in the American story. When they travel, reality hits differently. Some get defensive, some get curious. The curious ones make the whole job worthwhile. I'm working a museum desk in Rotterdam now. Yesterday, an American woman asked me what language people speak in Holland. I told her Dutch. She nodded thoughtfully. "Is that close to Dutch?" she asked. I paused, smiled, and said yes. They're exactly the same. She looked relieved. "Good," she said. I was worried I'd have to learn 2 languages. And these stories? They never stop coming. That's the world I track full-time. The invisible friction between how Americans see the world and how the world sees them. If you want that perspective before everyone else catches on, you know what to do.